Not the strongest, not the fiercest, but those who adapt, survive.
Subscribe now and join the journey of survival. 100,000 years ago. The Earth was locked in an endless winter. Storms howled across frozen valleys, glaciers carved the land into silence, and predators ruled the forests. This was not a world of comfort. It was a world where every day was a battle, and every night was a gamble against death. And in this frozen wilderness, two kinds of humans walked the Earth. The first were the Neanderthals, muscular, broad-chested, their bodies forged for the cold. Their heavy brows cast shadows across scarred faces. Their thick arms swung stone axes with devastating force. They hunted mammoths and fought wolves with raw power. Strength was their weapon. The second were the early Homo sapiens. Lean, sharp-featured, their frames smaller, but their minds sharper. They crafted spears tipped with stone, painted their stories on cave walls, and used fire not just for warmth, but as a tool to outthink enemies. Intelligence was their weapon. For thousands of years, the two species lived in the same world. Sometimes unseen, their fires glowing in caves separated by valleys. Sometimes glimpsed as shadows moving through the mist, and sometimes staring across the snow, eye to eye. But this Earth gave no mercy. It did not care for strength alone. It did not care for intelligence alone. It demanded something more, the ability to adapt. Because here, in the Ice Age, every step could be the last. Every breath was borrowed. Every hunt could end in extinction. Not the strongest, not the fiercest, but those who adapt, survive. And this is where the story of humanity begins. The Neanderthals were hunters of brute strength. Their heavy arms swung clubs into the sides of beasts, their muscles straining as they dragged carcasses through the snow. Inside their caves, firelight flickered as they feasted, cracking bones for marrow, their breath heavy in the smoke. But their strength came at a price. To fuel such bodies required endless meat. And in winters where prey grew scarce, hunger struck them harder than the storm. The sapiens survived differently. They moved together, lean bodies working as one. They wove traps from branches, sharpened spears with careful hands, and lit torches to drive prey into ambush. Their hunts were not of rage, but of strategy. Every kill was shared, every tool improved. Every fire passed from one hand to another. In this frozen world, both species chased the same giants, the mammoths. Creatures taller than huts, tusks long as spears, their roars shaking the valleys. For Neanderthals, the hunt was a charge, raw power slamming against bone and hide. For sapiens, it was a dance of fire and spears, encircling the beasts with patience and precision. But danger was never far. At the edges of every hunt, predators waited. Wolves, their glowing eyes shimmering in the snow, stalked silently, ready to claim what humans could not. The sapiens feared them. The Neanderthals fought them. On one night, as a storm raged above, a sapiens camp huddled around their fire. Their lean faces flickered in the orange glow, spears lying beside them. The children clung to their mothers, hunters kept their eyes on the shadows. Then came the sound, a low growl carried by the wind. Eyes appeared in the darkness, one pair, then many. The wolves had come. The hunters rose to their feet, torches flaring in their hands, spears pointed outward. The fire cracked, sparks rising into the night as the predators circled closer. One wolf lunged. A hunter thrust his spear, the stone tip tearing through fur and flesh. Another torch was slammed into the snow, fire exploding into sparks, forcing the pack back. The sapiens roared, not in strength, but in defiance. And the wolves, sensing fire and unity, retreated into the night. The fire still burned. The tribe still stood. And in that moment, it was not muscle that saved them. It was fire. It was thought. It was survival. The storm cleared. but silence carried its own threat. For weeks, Neanderthals and sapiens watched each other from a distance. Fires glowed on opposite ridges at night. Shadows moved through forests in the day. Each tribe knew there was not enough land, not enough prey for both to survive. The Neanderthals trusted their strength. Their leader, scarred and broad as stone, raised his club high in the air. His voice roared through the valley like thunder, a warning carried on the wind. The sapiens did not roar back. They tightened their circle, fire torches raised, spears glinting with sharp stone tips. Their leader's eyes did not burn with rage, but with calculation. And so, the two species stood in silence, one built for power, the other for thought. Neither moved, neither yielded, until the first mammoth appeared. The beast thundered into the snowy clearing, tusks tearing the air. Hunger gripped both tribes. The Neanderthals charged, heavy feet pounding the snow, clubs swinging with primal fury. The sapiens waited, and then struck with precision. Spears flew, torches blazed, wolves scattered from the fire. Chaos erupted. The Neanderthals slammed their clubs into mammoth flesh, their muscles bulging with effort. The sapiens cut deep with stone spears, driving the beast into panic. Snow flew like smoke, blood splattered across white ground. The air filled with roars and screams. But as the mammoth fell, the two tribes turned their weapons on each other. A Neanderthal swung his axe downward, snow bursting as a sapiens hunter blocked with his spear. The shock cracked wood, sparks from torches scattering into the storm. Another Neanderthal crushed a spear in his bare hands, veins straining, eyes wild with rage. But a sapiens woman thrust her torch forward, flames licking across fur clothing, forcing him back. Strength clashed against intelligence. Fire clashed against brute force. Every strike, every scream carried the weight of destiny. The snow turned red beneath them. The storm raged above them, and the world itself seemed to hold its breath. For this was no longer a hunt. This was war, a war between two species for the right to survive. The storms passed, but the silence remained. One by one, the fires of the Neanderthals burned out. Caves that once echoed with roars and feasts grew quiet. Footprints disappeared under falling snow, and their story was swallowed by time. But the sapiens endured. They lit their fires brighter. They carved their lives into stone walls, painted mammoths and hunts so their children would remember. They shared food, they shared knowledge, they shared survival itself. What the Neanderthals carried in muscle, the sapiens carried in mind. And so, the world chose. One species faded into memory, the other began its rise. We are their legacy. The blood in our veins remembers the hunts, the storms, the nights when fire was the only hope. The rise of mankind was not built on kingdoms or crowns. It began here, in the Ice Age, when two species walked the earth, and only one survived. Not the strongest, not the fiercest, but those who adapt, survive. This is Rise of the First Humans. Subscribe now and continue the journey of survival.